This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, this is a complete walkthrough presentation of the Crystal Practice Management software. This is going to be basically a patient encounter using the Crystal PM software using one of our demo versions of the software. The very first thing you want to do when you start our software is click on your employee's name and type in a password. For the demo, all the passwords are set to blank, but just press the OK button. If you use a real practice, you would have permissions and employees set up with different access. So a brand new hire would not be able to access the administration or the reports or void or edit invoices without authorization. We also, by default, have it for a single location. There is the option of adding multiple locations. So if you have 3 or 4 or multiple practices connected together, that is also an option with the Crystal software. We're just going to click on Dr. Dwayne Johnson, who's our master administrator, and then press the OK button. Once the software opens up, the very first page is the task page. The different parts of the program are at the top of the page, selected up here. You can see my mouse running through them. We're going to start with the task. It's a simple communication with the rest of the staff. One thing we do have an alert on here, you are welcome to do a one-on-one walkthrough. This presentation will be a patient encounter, but if you have any specific questions or like to go into more details, feel free to contact us. Our sales number is 800-308-7169 extension 2, or you can always email us sales@crystalpm.com. This is a place to put any sort of alerts or comments or tasks that should be completed. We can set that for each employee. We're going to start with our patient schedule just by clicking on the schedule button. The default view on my demo is just the daily view. This will automatically adjust day by day. So on today's schedule, we have both Dr. Dwayne Johnson and Dr. Emma Stone. The daily view just lets you see day by day. I can click on different days. It will adjust. So next Tuesday, there is only one doctor on the schedule. If there are 2 doctors, it'll put them side by side. We also have the option for a weekly view, which will show you the entire schedule for the week, and that can be done by each provider as well. We can also put staff members and walking columns on our schedule. We have a monthly view that doesn't show when your appointments are, but it shows you the hours you're working, if you have a lunch break or not, and how many appointments you have each day. There's also a search option, so if I need to try to find the next available 30 minutes for a Monday, Wednesday, or Thursday, in the morning, I just hit search. It'll give me all the available time slots. Double click will go directly to that day, so we can search for openings. By default, on our demo today, we just have it set up color coded, so we have blue is available, and there are different other types of appointments on here. We also can do what's called template scheduling. So yesterday, I actually put on a template schedule, so I have a new patient exam followed by a special testing followed by a new patient exam. So we can set up different already preset types of appointments, and we create what's called a template view. And I can actually edit and modify with the template editor, or we can just do a regular schedule view depending on how we want to set the schedule up. I have quite a few appointments on the schedule for today. I'm just going to go ahead and double click at 9 o'clock on Dr. Emma Stone. It'll open up our make appointment window. From here, it does have that date, time, and employee we selected. I can select the different types of appointments. All these appointments are completely customizable. We also would pull them over from most other softwares we do data transfers from, so you wouldn't have to create these from scratch. A new patient exam, I have defaulted to 30 minutes. Most of our practices do 15 and 30-minute appointments. Some do 10 and 20, some do 20 and 40. That's all set up with a single button click in our admin section. We also can either find a patient or create a new patient. If I'm creating a new patient, I can pick and choose what fields are required to create the patient. We do have the option at the very top or at the very bottom, it shows what are the color coding. So all my black fields are required. I have mine set up for the title, last name, first name, and either an email or declined email. And then I have what's called conditional fields, which means they need either a cell phone or a home phone. Some offices do require a birth date or require the full address or insurance details before the patient comes in. Not a problem at all. You can pick and choose what you want to require. For an established patient, we can just put find patient. Most offices typically identify a patient by the last name, first name. Occasionally, you do have a patient who left a voicemail or you have a hard time of hearing the patient. You can always search by other criteria, whether it be their address, their birthday, their social, their nickname, the invoice, the insurance. All those are other options we can search by the patient. I'm just going to click on the search text. I can automatically search for patient. I just have to kind of start typing a name. It does have the option where I can start typing the last name, put 2 spaces, it'll go directly to the first name. So it lets us kind of find and identify those patients. I'm just going to stick on this Gail Whedon patient. It'll automatically select them. Any sort of alert comment I want to put on there. So let's say that Gail is a Spanish speaker. So if we have any sort of alert, patient's in a wheelchair, patient needs extra assistance, we can easily kind of put that in here. We do have the option of, before the patient's created, I can say, show me their entire demographics, which I can see. I can also say, show me the linked accounts or family members. It have a list of all the other family members, their next appointment, and also their date of birth, so their last appointment. We have a wait list feature, and we can create a recurrence if the patient's coming back. A lot of our therapy practice may have the same patient coming back for, say, every week for the next 10 weeks or multiple times a week for the next 30 appointments. That can be customized. I'm just going to go ahead and press the Save Appointment button. There is Gail, 55 years old, Spanish speaker, new patient exam, unconfirmed, has no current balance, and has VSP. Over here, we do have Alex. He is 22 years old. He will need assistance in the office. A new patient exam, he's actually was signed out. He has no balance, and he has 3M medical plan. So each appointment will automatically adjust, and we can customize what fields are displayed on the schedule. Some of our offices do have staff members. So if we're booking a walk-in column, it's pretty common, or if we have a staff member for, say, frame adjustment, contact lens follow-up, or you could put therapists, different types of appointments on the schedule, or different employees. Double click will open that appointment back up. Let's say we're going to first do is we're going to call and leave a message and press save. Changes the coloring and the wording. Double click again. Let's say that we confirm that appointment and press save again. We do work with a lot of third-party systems. We do have text messaging built in with Weave, Demandforce, Solution Reach, AutoRemind, For Patient Care, Nexus Prime, as well as several others. We even have our own built-in text messaging option through Crystal as well, which you can also contact us about details for that. Double click. Let's say the patient when it showed up, we're just going to select the signed in button, and I can even select which type of room they're in. Are they in the waiting room, the pre-testing room, the exam room, the optical, or the contact lens area? All these rooms can be customized in our admin section. And we'll go ahead and just press that save button. So this patient is now officially signed in, makes it really clean and simple. We do have the option over here where we can keep track of the status, and I can show me the type of appointment. So all of my new patient exams are in green. I have a vision therapy review in red. We can color code and customize these colors as well. So it makes it really clean and simple. If we need to move the appointment, all I have to do is hit the control button. I can drag it to wherever I want to move it to. It'll automatically put it side by side another appointment. Makes it really clean and simple. I'll just say the patient's now coming at 10:45. Double click, it'll open it back up. We even have a show log button. So on that appointment, it was created up here at 3:37. I then left the message. I then changed the left message status. I confirmed it. I put them in the waiting room. I signed them in. I changed the time. So time, date, and employee, anytime we change or modify that appointment is documented. Once a patient is signed in, we do have them on the sign-in sheet. Here is Gail, here for ES, Dr. Emma Stone. They're in their waiting room for 0 minutes. So it shows you who's in the office, where they're at, and lets you keep track of all that information without a problem at all. We do have the option of printing the schedule. It also has the option of putting year-out scheduling, where I can have those hidden or displayed if we wanted to. The other option is really popular is online scheduling. We do have an option built into Crystal. With online scheduling, we have a link for schedule your exam. Most offices that have that, this is one of our offices actually live with Crystal, does have a button called Schedule an Eye Exam, and it launches directly to schedule your exam to their practice. Your name, your logo, your details are on there, and you can easily select those types of appointment. On the demo, I have it set up with 2 locations. I have the Crystal PM corporate or our main office. I can select between those, and then I can select which type of appointment I want. For a single location, would just have that 1 location on there. I did have 2 doctors. Here's Dr. Stone, here's Dr. Johnson, or I could say any doctor. Then when it pulls over, today I have no more appointments available. Tomorrow I have a 4 o'clock opening. On Friday, I have a full schedule available to pick. We can select which appointments are there and even do a template scheduling on there if we wanted to. Once we find the time we want, we can basically put in the first name, last name, date of birth, email. If it identifies the same patient or system, it will put the real patient in there. If not, it will create a new patient for you. There is always an option for a merge button if a patient did put a nickname or change their mobile or didn't have an address or birth date already on file. Put in the data, and then we can actually put next, and it'll do an email confirmation directly to the patient. And that will go directly into the schedule. Once the schedule is booked online, it will synchronize every 30 seconds. It's real-time scheduling directly in our schedule. That is completely optional, and it's an add-on feature with the Crystal Practice Management software. Once we leave scheduling, I'm going to the patients page. We do have the option of doing what's called import patient from web. When a patient does first show up to your office, they can fill out their paperwork in the waiting area, or they can do it on your website. As an example of that practice I kind of showed you before, Dr. Sorensen at Lakeline Vision, there is a button right here on their website called Patient Forms. It goes directly to Crystal Practice Management to their ID. They can either be a new patient or an established patient. They can complete all their paperwork at home or in the waiting area. On our demo, I already have it set up. So here is one on our demo where you actually can have them complete all the details. I have it set up with the chief complaint. All that details can be filled in, medical history, review of systems, and they can also do any sort of HIPAA agreement or financial responsibility. Patients can complete and do what's called an e-signature on that form if you wanted to. This is completely customizable. We do have some doctors that do vision therapy, low vision, also can do it in different languages. Here, for instance, is an example of one of our plain Jane basic templates, a little more simplified. Instead of the complete review of systems and chief complaint, it just has a bunch of simple questionnaire that could be completed. The neat thing about this one, it also has it in the other language in Spanish. We have some also do it in Vietnamese and Chinese. We can actually hit there. This is the Spanish version. Everything filled out in Spanish will automatically transfer directly into English in our software. So if the patient, for instance, clicked on enfermedad pulmonar, sickness of the lungs, my Spanish is a little poor, but I'd say lung disease is most likely what that refers to. If they filled that in, it would transfer lung disease inside of our software. So it does make it really clean and simple. We can say import patient, it go directly into the software. All the patients, the insurance information, and the medical history will fill directly into the program. So inside of our software, we just click import patient from web. I did already complete one. We actually used the name of our Abayo Billing, our RCM company affiliated with Crystal. I just filled her out with her information. We can just double click on that. I can create her or I can exist her to an established account. If I put create, it'll automatically create the patient. If the patient already exists with the same name, it will give you a prompt. Do you still want to create the patient? Yes or no. I'm going to put go ahead. It says, would you want to update this with medical records with all the updated data? I'm going to put yes. It also will give you the doctor ownership, which doctor date do you want to put them under and who do I want to assign them to? I'll just say yes, I'll put them under for Dr. Johnson. So hit save, it automatically created that patient directly from the website into the Crystal Practice Management software. Makes it very clean, simple to be able to do all of that paperwork. We also have the option on our patients page again to search for other criteria. We have our signed in. We also have our most recent patients. So it makes it easy to kind of keep track. I'll stick with that Gail Whedon patient that I automatically put on the appointment. Up here, you can see they've been in the waiting room now for 5 minutes. I'm going to select, now let's say they're in the exam room or pre-testing area. It'll color code it. I can even say if they've been there waiting too long, I have it set on pre-testing after 15 minutes to turn red, which you can see that as the counter goes and lets you know. Some offices also use this feature to keep track of patients been dilated, patients ready for the technician, and automatically change colors when they're ready to be seen. On the patient's very first page, we have a quick view, as an overview of the patient. It's got all of their demographics, the next appointment, the previous appointments. We have the last exam date, the last paid, the last frame, the last contact lens order. We have a photo. We can scan in a driver's license. We can also take a picture with the webcam. We have the insurance data, and then we have any linked accounts or family members. So the very first page is just a quick snapshot of the patient. Standard patient information right here under patient info is a good place to see all that data. One feature that works really well is a USPS verification. If let's say the patient had an address of 2313 Aldworth, and then we also put down a zip code of 78613, so just a street name and zip code, I can press validate. It'll automatically read my address and does a USPS address validator. So I put down Aldworth, it's actually Aldworth Drive. So not only does it see the address, it auto-corrected it. Instead of Austin, it does Cedar Park. It even puts a 9-digit zip code. Some insurances are now requiring a valid address on file in order to reimburse you for the insurance. And in case you're sending any sort of newsletters or postcards or marketing letters, definitely want to make sure you have a valid address on file. Now, if there is an address that's not visible, like 231 that doesn't exist, it will let me know right away. Hey, Gail, please check that address. The address is not valid on the USPS website. Oh, I forgot to put down 3 on there. So it does do a verification to make sure you have a valid address. We can also link accounts. We have the option of linking to a guarantor. It'll transfer the address, the phone, the insurance, and set the patient as the primary. Link the family member. family member without insurance and link without information. We can also break a link. Occasionally patients do have an issue where they go off to college, they have a divorce, they break up the family. We don't want to keep them till we constantly remind them if their patient's family member has not been to an appointment or not. If we do link them, all we have to do is just search for a link. The patient I'm on, let's see if I have any other Whedons. Let's say James Whedon is related to me. It would automatically change and add that linked account. It would show the last exam, next exam on our patients page. We can see that in billing and on the schedule. We can see the full family. Additional info, we could track patient referrals. So if the patient came from another patient, I could just put find patient and select their name, just like we would do in a patient attachment. We could do a professional referral. So if I wanted to put down anything like the patient came from Dr. Brad Pitt or another doctor in our area. Other could be anything like the patient came because of Facebook, they came because of Yelp, they came because of the OEP website, whatever sort of marketing, a newspaper ad, a church bulletin, whatever works, track that, be able to run reports to see how are patients finding you. You can even see how much money is being produced based on those marketing options. We do have customizable marketing options as well. So inside of our software, if I want to track patients that are interested in LASIK, patients in therapy, patients that want to do a dry eye study, we have different customizable marketing fields that can be set up in our admin section and run reports based on those patients. We have a signature and HIPAA on file. Again, this could be done on that online forms. We also do have the option for patients to do all their paperwork in the waiting area. One feature that we kind of have that's become really popular is our kiosk. So here, for instance, is a kiosk feature. Patients can walk up to the office. They can actually check themselves in. They can complete their paperwork. They can sign themselves in, do all that in the waiting area on a kiosk. One of the neat features about this one is they can not only do their paperwork, they can scan their insurance card and their driver's license all before they talk to a patient. So on this kiosk, there is an appointment check-in, there's a frame, a contact lens, or the paperwork. We can customize this, but this is the normal ones. And the scanner is double-sided. Driver's license, it'll actually pull the details, the address and everything from the driver's license, or it can pull over the insurance card. Again, a double-sided scanner. They can do that at home or in the waiting area. The other option we have is with our software, there is an option on iTunes. We can do what's called a Crystal PM signature capture. You can actually do all of your paperwork, signature, HIPAA agreement, financial responsibility, all that can be done on an app on an iPad. And some offices just hand a patient an iPad to do their paperwork, and they actually have an icon that they'll just launch to do that signature forms. So that can be done multiple ways, and we can actually put that in there. The other option, you have a laminated sheet, have the patient sign it with a dry erase marker or wax pencil and scan it directly in. All those are done electronically, works great with the Crystal software. There's an option to add recalls. Anytime you sell a full exam, it'll prompt for recall, but in case the patient went and got their eyes checked somewhere else, we can add or delete or change recalls in our software. We also have a set patient inactive button. If a patient moved away or passed away, we can inactivate them, hide them from the search and reports and the recalls. But if we ever need to, we can always reactivate a patient. There's no delete button in our software. Legally, you have to keep your records for 7 years, so you don't want to delete a patient that potentially has any patient data in it. There is an option to merge a patient together. Occasionally, patients are created twice. Patients sometimes get married, change their last name, and don't alert the office that they have been there before. Patients also sometimes go by nicknames or even change their identity. If their eyes are the same, we definitely want to make sure we keep all their records as well as their accounting. What this will do is we'll actually merge all their data, all their frames, their contacts, orders, their medical records, their RXs, their invoices will all move into one account. And we can inactivate the patient, send all the data to another account if we wanted to. Works really clean and simple. We can also load any sort of authorized users for HIPAA disclosures. So if we want to keep track of their relationship or what they're allowed to do. So in case we call up, say, Gail, that's the patient I'm currently on, and say, hey, your contacts are ready to be picked up. If anybody other than Gail picks them up, they need to make sure they're authorized. All the family members are up here, and I can add a disclosure. So on behalf of the patient or due to an audit or medical reasons, let's say behalf of the patient, we release the contacts to James. Clean, simple, easy way to document it. We can also keep track of everything on here to be able to make sure that everything's taken care of. Insurance. We have multiple insurances can be set up on my demo. I have actually set to 3 different visions, 2 different medicals and another. This can be customized based on the type of appointments you want. Crystal PM is one of the few softwares that does have a direct link with VSP Affinity. So we do have a 1-button click. We can say check the eligibility, check the authorizations, get an existing authorization, delete the authorization, and get the status of that frame. With any other sort of insurance, say we're using a medical insurance, I can actually put down if there's like a copay, the ID number, the policy group number. We do integrate with Trizetto and currently Apex EDI with this. We will work with any clearinghouse, but these we have direct integrations for checking the eligibility, the vision, the frame, the exam, the lenses, the eyewear, or any medical codes can all be gathered with a single button click. We can also scan a copy of the insurance card. We can put any notes or comments about the insurance or on the patient's insurance section in general. Scanning the insurance card is a one-button press. It can also be done from that kiosk. Most offices have a scanner. Most double-sided scanners work directly with Crystal with a single button. Prescription. The doctor does prescription in the medical records. I'm still underneath the patient's page. This is where the staff can print a prescription. We can do a frame order, a contact lens order. We can also add an external RX. Occasionally, patients come off the street, just want to do an RX recheck, or they're just to buy frames or contacts. We can also print out their drug RX if it's already been prescribed in the records page. To print out a prescription, I can just hit print. It'll give me the option spectacle contacts or both. And if I say print, it does have my doctor on file. You can even have their license, their signature can even be used. I can select my notes and recommendations. If I want to print it out, it'll print out a simple document. You would have your name, your logo, your information at the top. It'll have the prescription date, their expiration date, the doctor's signature and license can be auto-filled in. Instead of printing the prescription, we also have the option of saying upload to portal. Offices used to email over prescriptions. Technically, you're not allowed to email anything with patient health information, but what you can do is say upload to portal and email portal access that is completely HIPAA compliant, and it directly integrates with Crystal. It's also free of charge with the Crystal software. I'll kind of cover a frame and contact lens order after I do an exam. Notes, medical, personal correspondence, any sort of note you want to document on a patient's account. Anything in the medical or health records is supposed to show up in an audit or medical record request. So a lot of times offices put internal office notes in this section right here. This could be anything like a medical note. Patient has slight autism, patient extremely hard to understand, personal note, patient's active military, patient's going through divorce, patient recently widowed, correspondence note, contacted patient about contact lens pickup. If you send any sort of recall or marking letter, it'll automatically add a correspondence note. So we can actually just put add note, type whatever note we want. We can even color code it or set up different types of coloring to make sure it stands out more or less. Also on the quick view, typically when a patient calls up, they just come here, anything about the exam, anything about the family or the balance, any notes I should be concerned with. So typically when a patient calls up, this is the second section they normally go to. Files is any paper record, any document, old paper records, a note from their employer, a note from school, any sort of document the patient has, scan it directly in. It'll be linked in the patient's page. It'll also be linked in the records and in the billing section can all see all these scanned documents. And then lastly, just the status page. This shows you all their prescriptions, also what types of frames and contacts they've ordered off those prescriptions, all their individual frame orders, contact lens orders, and invoices on one page. This is all underneath the patient's page, the different patient sections. Next, we'll move on to the medical records. So I'll click on the records button at the top of the page. The medical records are completely customizable and editable. Crystal PM has over 300 templates shared online. We can pick and choose from other doctors. I'm going to show one of our normal templates. We also do have specialty offices who do low vision, developmental vision, vision therapy, ortho K, sclerals. There are different templates available. If you want to see those specific templates, feel free to contact Crystal PM for a one-on-one walkthrough. First is any field filled out on the online forms, whether it be chief complaint, history, or pre-testing, any of the data can be completed at home or in the waiting area and filled directly into the Crystal software. I can also type for any reason, anything I want on the reason for visit. I just type in, not a problem, or I have what's called my common responses. So let's say this patient's here for an annual exam. What is my primary chief complaint? Let's say this patient also is here because they have an injury to the eye. Which location? It is the right eye. What is the severity? It is moderate. What is the quality? It is throbbing. And how long has it been? Let's say it's been 8 hours. My common responses are days, weeks, months, year. I can add this as a common permanent response, or I can just type it on my keyboard, 8 hours, not a problem. We have the option of saying select previous, or I can say fill in normal. It'll automatically pull in normal directly over. Medical history, again, we have the option of saying fill in normal. I can do it section by section. I can even put a button that says fill in the whole page. So this will pull it over. If I do want to add a medication, we do have the option. If you do want to e-prescribe, Crystal PM directly links with Allscripts. We can pull medications from other providers down automatically. Or if we start typing in, it'll even auto-complete. So if I want to put it in, drug name or formulary name. It'll automatically read over. We can select that drug and put it directly in. The hard part is a lot of patients don't know exactly which drug they're filling in, but if you put down basically the ingredient or the drug name or formulary name, it'll automatically put it directly in the Crystal software. It'll load what's called an RX norm code, so it'll do a drug-to-drug interaction, and you can e-prescribe from the Crystal software. We can put medications, allergies, again, that can be completed on the website for the online forms at home or in the waiting area. For pre-testing, if I want to track blood pressure, height, and weight, anything you want to do, we are macro and MIPS compliant. We directly integrate with the AOA MORE registry and the ophthalmology IRIS registry. I'm just going to go ahead and put down here that we're going to fill in everything normal for pre-testing. If this patient was here in the past, this patient had exams from 03, 06, and 07. You can see the history of that field just by clicking on that box. I can easily kind of point and click and change, or I can select the exact same wording it was on a previous one if I wanted to. Confrontation, same thing. It'll show the auto history. So we have pre-testing data, alignment, divergences. We can track all that data on here. Any sort of refraction. Crystal PM has a direct link with Marco, Topcon, Huvitz, Tomei, Eisen, Reichert. Numerous machines. We have a one-button integration. We can just see also previous refraction, or I can say let's pull over the refractor, keratometer, lensometer, phoropter, depending what machines you have in your practice. If it's not set up, we can always point and click from our drop downs. We can customize this. We do ophthalmology as well. They do positive sills. Our optometrists do negative sills. To us, it doesn't matter. It's a one button change. We can automatically manipulate that. We also have the option saying previous. We have our final RX on here. So it has autofraction, keratometry, retinoscopy, manifest, and final. If I do want to change my final based on what it was on the manifest, I can point and click and change that if I wanted to. And then hit finalize. Since it directly over to the optical, I can put multiple RXs on file as well. So if I want to say put a load RX1, but we'll call this one their safety RX or their driving RX, we can put that in, put any notes or comments. We can put multiple prescriptions or print the prescription from here automatically. We can also do any sort of wet refraction, either cycloplegic autofraction, retinoscopy, or manifest as well. Anything done on the refraction transferred directly over into our prescription tab. I can put the multiple ones. We can even do a Plano over sunglass RX. Some states do require you have to charge sales tax on any non-prescribed devices. So some doctors just print out a Plano to be able to do sunglasses without having to charge sales tax. Over here, we do have the option selecting contacts, whether it be like say a soft or an ortho K or a rigid, scleral, you name it. But we have a direct integration with ABB, eDoctor, OGP, and WVA. From those, we can actually pull directly from their catalogs. So if I just hit search inventory, here's an entire contact lens catalog. So if I click Alcon, Air Optics, Dailies, Fresh Looks, anything with their DX is diagnostic. Some of the other ones with OGP and WVA have the word trial built in, but they just have it called a DX for a diagnostic lens. It had one base curve, one diameter. It filled that directly in. There was this one spear. I put the spear. There's one color, one box. So it helps you autocomplete. We also have an advanced search, which works really well for contacts you may not prescribe very often. So let's say we're looking for an 8.6 base curve, a diameter of 15, and a spear of -7. What are my options out there? Hit search. Hydrosoft, there's a 3-pack and a single pack and a thin 3-pack and a thin single pack, and that is it. So I can just select the contact I want on here, makes it really clean and simple. Whether I'm using one of these integrations, I can now order it directly with a button click. So I can just say ABB, which is the one I hadn't set up with. I can say right now, submit it directly to go to our office. Most offices wait till they put save the penny, wait till they get free shipping. Typically with ABB, it's a certain amount, either you're ordering a certain threshold, like $50 worth or a certain quantity of boxes, not a problem. We also have the option of mailing it directly to the patient's house. So, or an address. So let's say the patient lost their contacts on vacation. I can type in their hotel information. I can even mail it to them next day. So it'll go directly to the patient. Or if they're back on spring break, I can mail it back to their dorm room and send it to them with the ground shipping. Makes it really clean and simple. 2 button clicks will send it directly into ABB. We also have this routing slip where I ordered that contact that automatically can add that directly to my billing to make sure I bill that contact whenever I do that order. Exam, we do have the option of doing an internal, external, anterior, posterior segment. Automatically say fill in all else normal. It'll automatically complete that. It is customizable. We can set what we want normal to be. It will also fill in this patient based on their refraction. They had myopia on the right eye. They had astigmatism bilateral. They were presbyope. It'll automatically fill those in. Also, let's say on the macula, I want to put in the patient has say a macular hole, it will automatically show up down here, macular sister pseudo hole. Let's say both eyes are the same. It'll even turn it bilateral. I even like it to say show up anything not normal in red. I just press the F6 button, or you can come here and say record or page options, automatically display any abnormal findings, or it's the F6 button. It will show or hide anything not normal in red. Makes it clean and simple to do that. If they're here in the past, I can say, let's load their previous IOP histories. I can graph the IOPs. I can put in any drops that I wanted to. And again, for meaningful use or macro and MIPS reporting, we do have all of the criteria to make sure you bill. We did have 75% of all the AOA more registrants use Crystal Practice Management. We had 100% success rate on the ophthalmology iris registry last year. Interpretation report, we can do any sort of special testing, whether it be fundus photography, visual fields, gonoscopy, OCTs, GDXs, or any sort of procedures in office can all be documented. We also have an assessment and plan. This one automatically loaded all the assessment and plan based on the exam findings. Some offices like that. Some offices even want to have it fill in not just the diagnosis, but also the plan, the education. We can link those as well. So let's say I'm putting in the word floaters for a patient. I could have that keyed into my exam findings. It'll fill in automatically the plan for the floaters. It'll fill in the education, the instructions, and the return visit, all automatically with a button click. So I don't have to go in there. We have some offices do a high volume of, say, dry eye or other issues in their area. So dry eye for a patient, it'll fill in for the plan for dry eye. I want to do education. I want to do blinking, warm compress, lid massage, consider bio tears and supplements for our plan. On the education, here's some dry eye information to follow up. Here's some information for a handout, and here's our follow-up on there. Makes it really clean and simple, so we can automate all that whole process. We can also put down our billing codes. We do directly integrate with iCore and CodeSafe. They can even help you bill and code and match up to make sure you met the criteria for all those fields. For contacts, there are different ways of documenting contact lens. This is a way, if you're not using the ABB integration, we can automatically pull from different catalogs as well. I can keep track of any contact. What is the over refraction? What's the acuity? Is there a rotation? What's the good fit? I can put all those in, and we can track all of our different contact lens trials. We can e-prescribe. So if we wanted to send our drug Rx, we have a direct integration with all scripts. Currently, it's a $9 value for what's called the basic one-way integration, or $30 a month for their bilateral platinum integration, which can pull other medications and does a direct sync with data back and forth from their website. The $9 a month one, imagine it's a one-way, we send data to them and stops. The $30 a month basically sends data back and forth. It's a fraction of price most of our competitors charge. It still works great for e-prescribing. If you do a lot of glaucoma, this is a simple glaucoma flow. It does initial workup, an IOP check. We can keep track, what's their max IOP, what's their target IOP, their rhodometry, what are their risk factors. I have a graded calculator on this one. Let's say the patient is over 65. They have a very high IOP. They have a pretty decent cup disc ratio. I could put it our criteria. I could calculate. This patient is a 9, which means they have a 15% risk of developing open angle glaucoma. So it will keep track of all that. If they were here in the past, again, I can say load their previous visits. It'll show up all their previous IOPs, their medications, any notes, any findings, the cup disc ratio, all that can be tracked just by hitting one button to load all their previous appointments in one sheet. Makes it really easy to track that. Up here at the top, you can see I do have Gail up here as pre-testing. She's been there 20 minutes. I'm now going to put her in the exam room. So again, I know who's in the office, where they're at, and I can run reports. How long are patients waiting? How long are patients pre-testing? You can do that by employee as well. A dry eye, whether we're doing like dry eye testing, a dry eye history, a speed questionnaire, an ocular surface disease index. We can track post-ops. Is this patient here because of LASIK or PRK or enhancements? Who is the surgeon? What's the patient comments? What are the results? Again, we even have ophthalmologists using our software to track and document the whole thing, as well as retinal specialists, things like that can be done. If you're doing specialty lenses, whether it be like orthokeratology, scleral lens, we have a lot of doctors that do that. What type of reason was it for ortho-K? A consultation, a diagnostic, a fitting. What are the findings? What's the corneal health? We can track all the different trial lenses. With sclerals, it can keep track, again, what's the type of contact we're putting on there, how they feel when they put them in, how they feel when they took them out, what's the indication for sclerals, what's the clearance at the scleral landing zone, what's the scleral landing zone. We can document all these just by pointing and clicking, and we can even track the orders. If you do any sort of myopia control, are they using atropine, Are they using multifocals? Are they doing orthokeratology? What's going on? If we did therapy, there's vision therapy templates. We can track the vision therapy appointments. We can do 92 codes and 97 billing codes. Some offices now are doing 97 billing codes where if I'm typing in a certain type of activity, I can actually pull a direct description of what the activity is. I can track the proficiency, the equipment, the assessment. We can track all those. Again, we do have lots of different templates that are designed to go in more detail in the therapy. Please give me a call. I'm happy to go over those, as well as if you do any sort of specialties that you want to see that documented. We even have a low vision driving school using the Crystal Practice Management software. This is just one template. We do have several different templates shared online. You can see there's a list of different practices that use the software. I won't go in near in much detail with another one, but I do have a bunch of preloaded ones. I will just load, for instance, one of our more basic simplified templates that some offices use. I'm just going to pick a random patient. Then on this new patient, I just loaded one of our basic templates. This is going to load up. This one just has a simply history form. It's going to be based on that one that had that Spanish version. This one, for instance, let's say patient is all healthy except for the grandmother has cancer and the father has a macular degeneration. The doctor just reviews it. Then on the exam, anything not normal would show up. Cancer for the grandmother, macular degeneration on the dad. This is a simple one-page form. Some of our offices do want it to be more of a paper feel. This was designed to have more of that paper feel to it. So very flexible, customizable, depending on what you're trying to do. We also have integrated letters, anything from like a referral letter, a medical record, a infancy letter, a diabetic letter, handouts, you name it, you can kind of print out anything from the patients, and records can be automatically automated directly into a letter. So we can fill it in on this patient and say, I want to include the header. It'll print out. We can even send any letter directly into Microsoft Word if we want to do that as well. It makes a really clean, Jane, simple way to print out a letter from our program. Then up here, you can see Gail was here. I'm just going to go over to her patients page. This is where I'm going to go ahead and do that optical order. So this patient was here. Here's that prescription. I had my regular RX and safety RX. Crystal does have the option of printing the prescriptions, or we can do that frame order. We do integrate directly with VisionWeb, DVI Remo, VSP, and Solidar Labs. VisionWeb and DVI work with thousands of labs. So almost, unless it's a really small mom and pop shop, I'm sure we can send it electronically to them. We do have the option of setting up our order. Was it a sale? Was it a warranty? Was it a remake? You name it, we can set up different types and we can customize these. Let's say it was a sale. We can barcode scan and label print. The newest technology is also RFIDs. Instead of actually barcoding your frames, you just put a chip on the frame. Jewelry stores and pawn shops have used the technology for years. You can actually get an inventory for 1,000 frame office in minutes. We just run a wand through the store within 3 feet of the frames. It'll automatically pull that RFID and you can sell it based on the closest frame to the checkout. That's a newer technology. It's working really well. If you want to go more details on that, please let me know. If you have your barcode, just scan it. If you don't have a barcode, we can just type in any frame I'm looking for. I'm going to type the word Vera Wang by Kenmark. Let's see what I have in my inventory. Here's my entire catalog that I have built into my inventory. Let's say I'm just going to pick a random frame, this lavish one. Sounds good. Then I can set the lens I want. So let's say it's a progressive with a Hoylux GP wide. I can just point and click and select these drop downs. They are customizable. We do have a complete list of all the different options on here where I can select those over. We can also do a package. Some of our offices just say, I want to do a basic package. I want to do, this is a platinum package. This is Dr. Smith's preferred package. You name it, we can set up different ways. A sports package. We have a lot of sports vision doctors that use our software. We can track who the optician is, keep track who gets commission. We do commission-friendly billing as well. We can also pull directly from VSP and send an order directly to Eyefinity. It does work with the Opticam, the My EyeFit, the VisiOffice. Lots of equipment can integrate in the optical. When I'm done with the order, I just go ahead and press the Save button. It'll say, do you want to turn that order directly over into a routing slip or a super bill? So I have my contact I ordered, the exam, the refraction. I have all my codes. I have all the diagnoses. I can put any notes or comments I want on there as well, or put a modifier code or procedure code. I can even do the recalls from this routing slip here or in the exam room. I can keep track of where the job is. Has it been pending? Has it been ordered? Have we received it, notified, or dispensed it? If I'm doing in-house edging or polishing, I can keep track of those as well. At any point, I can always run a log or run a report to track all of my different frame orders. This one will show you on here created and ordered, all that is tracked and documented. If I wanted to, for any reason, print out an order, I could just say print. It'll automatically print out an order form. So you can actually see it's designed to fit in the trays. Makes it very clean and simple depending what information I'm trying to look and document to do. And that's right here in the frame order. Contacts, we kind of covered that briefly in the exam room. I do have that ABB integration. If you don't use them, or eDoctor, Diversified, OGP, WVA, I can always come here and change the status of these as well. And I can actually track the order. I can order them over. I can run a report to track all my jobs, what's going on, where they're at with those. Once I'm done with the optical, I'm going to go to the billing section. It will prompt me. There is a routing slip. Do you want to turn that to an invoice, yes or no? If I put yes, it automatically creates an invoice. I do have the option of putting down a doctor's name and an optician's name, so it does keep track of the staff. Certain items are trackable by opticians. You can actually see, and I can pick and choose what items I want to be tracked by optician. If I need to change anybody's name for any reason or put multiple opticians on there, who sold the frame, who sold the sunglasses, we can track that as well. We'd have all of our diagnosis pointers. We have a modifier code. I'm going to first make a cash pay, then I'll show you insurance. We also have the option of switching this to a quote mode. So sometimes patients come to buy frames or come in for therapy, but they want to get an exact quote of what it's going to cost to move forward. We can always switch it to quote and then move it back to an invoice if the patient comes back. I'm just going to press save invoice on this one. It'll remove our frame from inventory automatically when I hit the save button. It'll prompt me for recall 1 year from today. I can also add a recall. Let's say I want to put this patient down for glaucoma. I want them back at a certain time period. I actually have my glaucoma here for a 3-month recall. I can put that in, and I want to recall them for their contacts. Let's say that their contacts, they have it done for a couple months. I can put multiple recalls on a patient without a problem. Press the OK button, automatically sets the recalls. It also says the patient signed in. Remember, they're up here, they're signed in. You want to sign them out. I'll press OK. It will synchronize every 30 seconds. I can come here, I can make a payment, cash, check, credit, insurance, or other. We also have the option of storing a credit card on file. So half now, half when you pick up your frames. You can actually put if you're doing therapy or want to do recurring payments, I can actually run their credit card and store that credit card on file, not a problem at all. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to pay for this invoice in cash, press save. Here would be my bill receipt, very customizable. If you want to have your name, your logo, your information, we can also have a footer and a portal information put directly on. Here is our detailed address, our logo, our information, the doctor's name. It's going to have everything you wanted on here. And again, we can customize this very easily. This one, for instance, we did take insurance, so we don't have the word insurance anywhere visible. Some of our offices are all cash pay that don't take insurance, so they don't want the word hit in there. If they do have insurance, you'll see what that looks like in a second. This makes it really clean and simple. We just reconcile that patient. We can also come here, instead of coming from the exam room and optical, we can just sell frames or other items. We just say create invoice. This patient, let's say this came in for an exam. I can search bill code, procedure code, or description, and I can say we did a refraction. This patient has VSP and Aetna. I can select, let's say, put VSP on the exam, Aetna on the refraction. It'll automatically pull that over. If we have a fee schedule, my default amount for my exam is $110. With VSP, I have it slated right now. They only pay $56.12. There's a $40 discount, and the patient should be paying a $13.88 responsibility. If I have it with Aetna, I have it set right now where they have the copay or the discount and the patient responsibility. So we can set up different fee schedules ahead of time. We even have a VSP calculator, help calculate our VSP fees based on the signature choice or value plan. On that invoice, I can switch it to a quote mode. I also have the option of just pressing the save button. It will say, hey, 1 or more claims were added to a batch. Do you want to verify it? I already have my recall set up. I can modify them if I needed to for any reason. Then it can automatically bill. If I go to my CMS form and say, which one do I want to load it for? Let's say I want to load it for my Aetna. Here's automatically going to fill in. I just have that built in for the refraction. I can print it up or I can add it to a batch. Most of our offices do electronic claims. We directly integrate with Apex, Trizetto. Some offices use Office Ally, some use Waystar. There's lots of different companies out there, Emdion, that we work with. I just put add to batch. We can do electronic claims at the end of the day. If we wanted to make a payment, we could do that payment. Again, cash, check, credit, insurance, or other. We can put that in. If we do credit card, we can store what type of credit card we wanted. Let's say I'm doing like a Marlowe or a Visa or a MasterCard. You name it, we can actually store all that information directly in. Here's also a VSP claim button. We'll send it directly over into VSP Affinity. So we can submit the claim in the frame with a single button click. Then if I want to print it out, this one's going to look very different than the other one because I have insurance. It'll have the insurance, what's the insurance amount, what's the patient owe, what's the insurance deal. We can show those. We can even say show more details or less details depending on how you want this to be laid out. and you can hide or show the diagnosis codes. To look at old invoices, we can just click on data service. It can load up all my old invoices. It'll even show you if I have a balance or outstanding money due, or a transaction history or ledger. During billing, sometimes you may want to adjust the recalls. We can do that automatically. We can say, let's print out any sort of letter for any sort of educational materials, like, oh, your new contact lens wear, let's print out some contact lens tips for success. Or let's print you a referral letter or excuse for school or work. That can all be done here. We can also say, show me the linked accounts and family members. Last exam and next exam and balance. We can even make a payment for everybody in the family at one page or transfer credits with a button click. If we want to add a discount, or if we want to edit or void invoice, really clean and simple. You just have to make sure you're an administrator to edit or void invoices. Makes it very easy to do. We can even email portal access so they can actually download everything from the web page. Next is kind of our inventory section. We do have it 3 certain areas. We have frames, contacts, lens, or miscellaneous items. We can add frames. We can just barcode scan, label, print. We do directly integrate with frames data UPC, barcode CD, or we can automatically select the frame manually on here. I have a pretty large database already. We do pull over from other softwares. So whether you're using any of our competitors, we can pull that data over. There are 3 prices we track with Crystal: the purchase price, the list price, and the sales price. We can set up formulas to calculate those. We can print out our own labels. We can customize the labels if you want to do that. And we have the RFID technology as well. So I can go ahead and put save. It'll put it directly in. Miscellaneous is more like vitamins, supplements, spectacle lenses, you name it, we can track those. We also have a way of tracking outside vendors, frame reps, you name it, we can track all their details, what login, what website, who do we have, who's our contact. We have a lot of reports. The most popular reports we have with the software is probably our end of day as our financial reports. We can run a simple one as just a daily report. This will automatically show us all the money that was brought in today. So if I click in, here's all my cash, my credit, my insurance. If I click on here, there's that patient I created. Here's their payment amount. If I click on the credit cards, it'll show you which brand, and I can double click and show the details. Again, this is just for today. It shows me anything billed out on services and products. It splits it, what was billed to the patient, what was billed to the insurance company. So the very first page is just deposits, everything billed out, patient insurance. I have a day sheet or ledger, all the patients seen that day, and a transaction sheet shows me a transaction ledger. This same report can be done by doctor and by location. It can be printed or sent to Excel. We also have the option, instead of doing a daily report, we can run what's called a multi-day report. A little bit more time window. I can point and click and select. I'm going to run this for a month, or I can say a week or a day or multiple days. Here's all of our deposits. Again, gives you a breakdown. The way Crystal kind of works, everything here is like big picture. If I click on it, it gives me a breakdown. If I double click on that item, it gives me a breakdown of there. And if I double click again, it goes directly to that invoice. So it keeps going more and more details the more I click on something. So it makes it really easy to track and follow everything. So again, anything out of the norm, like, oh, what's $916 is a very large cash pay. What was that for? That was for an exam or refraction, fundus photography. Then they had a high-end frame. They did a progressive lens. Okay, that's where it makes sense. And they got contacts. So you can kind of track everything on here. There's a large cash payment, and I can then go back to the report. So that works really well. And that's kind of tracking our end of day, everything done by the patient and insurance. The other one that's really popular is our production report. This report kind of tracks what's producing in our office. How much for exams, how much for frames, how much for procedures, how much we're making for therapy, how much we're making for low vision services. So this one's kind of more of what's producing in our office of production. It's our percentage of our total. If it's a daily, it does month to day. If it's more than a daily, it does year to day. And it gives you your percentages. And again, this can be done by doctor and by location as well. We have tracking our schedule. We can do marketing, a lot of marketing. A lot of offices like to send notes when school's about to start. I need my 5 to 18-year-olds. A lot of times you don't want all those patients though. There are patients who just came in today or yesterday. So anybody who has a future appointment, I don't need them. So if they're already booked for like tomorrow or the next week, and if they were here in the last year, I can set my criteria of which patients I don't want. Then I can just say generate report. So all my patients that are between 5 and 18, no future appointment, have not been in a year. I have 256. I can print address labels, billing labels. I can merge them with the same address or linked account, so I can send one per family. I can do a mail merge with email, or I can print this out. We also have the option of, on the same report, I can say, show me all my patients who have Medicare who've not been in the past year. I can select that, hey, your benefits are about to expire. Or I can come here and say, I want to do a Anybody with a cylinder of less than 3, how many patients do I have meet that criteria? It'll go through our entire database, 25,000 patients. I have 8,377 patients meet that criteria. So it makes it really clean and simple to be able to track all that data, depending what we're trying to do. We can track how many patients book appointments online, how many patients are in our office. Show me how long patients are signed in, how many patients are signed out, how long is their average time spent in office, what's their average wait time or average exam room, are we faster in exam room 2 or 1? Which doctor is more efficient? So I can easily track that by each employee and by location. We can also track medical records, meaningful use, our frames, our contact lens orders. All that can be done. We have an admin section where we set up all of our fee codes. If we want our logo, we want to set up our employees, we want to set up our invoices. All that can be documented in the software. We even have features like instant messaging. So if I want to instant message another employee in the office or at another location, if I'm using multi-site, I can say, hey, I need help in the exam room. Can someone please come back? Make sure you bring extra solutions or eye drops. You can message mail people if you want to send an email directly to them. Basically using our software to automatically do a message if they're not logged in right now. We have a time clock. You can track your hourly employees. When they clock in, when do they clock out? How long have they been in the office? All that can kind of be tracked and documented in our program. Makes it a quick, this was a very quick, just shows you an overview. I went very fast paced. With the normal walkthroughs, I do go much slower. We also stop for questions and do a very specific walkthrough. So if you are interested, please reach out to Crystal Practice Management. We're more than happy to help you out. To email us or call us, all you have to do is contact us. We do have a web support you can use, but our direct contact number is right here. I can just say call tech support. It is 800-308-7169. Extension 2 goes right to sales. So that is an easy way, or you can email us sales@crystalpm.com.